This is a collection of short videos which can be selected by chapter in the description below. September was an interesting month in our region. At the end of an unseasonably warm August, we had a few nice fresh snow dumps in the final month of our ski season.
Is it winter or spring? First day of spring. It's the coldest day of all of winter. This is our lineup to Coronet Peak. Awesome. That's what happens when you have the best snow of the season. So after what, about an hour and a half?
Roughly two.
Almost 2 hours of lining up. We have finally made it up to Coronet Peak during the best powder day of the season. Let's see how the lines are up there. Here's Marcel showing off his pride.
Yeah.
Alright, this is winter.
With a rare fresh layer of powder, blue skies, and the gay pride celebrations in the background, this turned out to be one of the best days of the season. After a fairly warm winter, we took every opportunity to get out whenever we had new snow, which is how we justify the 2-hour traffic lineup to get onto the mountain.
Oh man, I got snow all down inside my clothes. You gonna do this jump, Francesco? This guy's going over. Which one? Woo! All right, hit it hard. Woo-hoo-hoo!
With exceptional views of the Wakatipu Basin below, Coronet Peak is the closest ski field to the town of Queenstown, New Zealand's adventure tourism capital in the South Island.
I'm potty.
There we go, look at that.
Oh, look at it, man.
Fish and chops.
Fish and chops.
Fish and chops, bro. Look at that beautiful day on the mountain, fresh snow. We've got the Pride Festival right here. A little bit of a DJ thing going on. We got ginger bears, alcoholic ginger beer, of course. Some fish, some chops. Not a bad day to be up in the air. Not a bad day to be down here either. Also got the poutine, the traditional Canadian dish of cheese curds, gravy, and chips, of course. Stand by. All right, let's go. By the way, this is the bike run that we're going down. Yay! Where is Marcel? That's the question. Which side do you want to go down? You want to go right or left? To be honest, it all looks the same to me.
Due to the new snow levels, we were able to explore some runs that had been closed for the whole season.
Hey! Hey! Oh, that's cool. Picking it up, but there's like a big circle, like a halo around the sun. It's very cool. All right, friend dogs. Let's groove.
A great ending to a perfect day on the slopes.
Alrighty, Francesco, give us a summary of the conditions.
Just started, so
looks good. What do you think, Marcel?
Definitely I think it's gonna be a great day.
Yeah? Nice.
Yeah.
Looks like it got better conditions than last time. No.
No tay, no tay. Naughty, naughty.
She's still looking. What are these guys?
No tay, kids. Naughty, naughty.
What are they doing wrong, Ellie? What are they doing that's so naughty?
Wrong, man. There is no way to go that way because there are no tay, no tay.
What just happened?
Thriving off the conditions of the recent snow dump, we decided to hit up Queenstown's second ski field, the Remarkables.
That's cool. Smash it! That's happy. This is what we deal with. That's what we deal with. Oh, where's the music? Shit, the music's in front.
With wide open terrain and some small parks, we were able to take advantage of the great conditions and test out our skills while the crowd levels were still reasonably low.
Straight down. Oh, it's lucky as hell. Woohoo! Nice.
The Remarkable ski area is 45 minutes from Queenstown Centre and is known for its varied higher alpine terrain.
Vicky, good meals?
Spring is here in Arrowtown.
With a string of warm days, I ditched the snowboard and headed to Cromwell with Miranda for some spring cycling. Our journey took us an hour west of Queenstown, passing through the stunning Kawarau Gorge along the way. So we're at the Cromwell Heritage Precinct and we're about to start a little cycle down to a place called Bannockburn. Essentially right now we are in New Zealand's version of the Wild West, you know, this really dry sort of desert area. Lots of canyons and these rivers that sort of snake through the canyons here. And this area was very famous in the 1800s for gold mining, which swept through the central Otago region during that period of time. So we're about to get on our bikes and go for a nice little cycle, looking at 6 kilometers each way, down there and back to Bannockburn. So 12 kilometers return, hopefully knock it over in an hour or so.
A little bit of a windy one, Chicky. All right, we're ready to get going? Let's do it.
the gold rush in its past, the old buildings from the era can be seen in Cromwell's Heritage Precinct. Nowadays, it's known best for its fruit orchard and wine production.
Pretty awesome. The perfect dry environment for growing olives and wine, as you can see right across all the vineyards. Cromwell and Bannockburn are very, very famous for Pinot Noir wine. It's all part of the Central Otago wine region.
The Central Otago wine region is considered the southernmost wine region on Earth.
Wow. How is it?
Pretty beautiful.
Pretty beautiful. So behind me here we have the Bannockburn sluicings, and essentially what the sluicings are is back in the 1800s during the gold mining period, they would actually extract minerals and rocks from the sides of the mountains. They're using high pressure hydraulics and hoses just to spray down the mountain walls. And it's formed a network of canyons that sort of run through this little area here, and I kind of like to call it the Wild West of New Zealand. You know, it has that same Wild West history, and also as well this rugged sort of canyon type environment is kind of like that gunslinging fantasy. Noticed all these little bushes here are a wild time. They smell delicious walking through. It's awesome. So there's the start of Bannockburn. Got some construction going on up on the bridge there, so not really going to cross over today, but we did explore that area about a year and a half ago, so you should check that video out. Cromwell sits on the side of, which is formed on the juncture of two rivers. We have the Karawau River, we have the Clutha River that comes down from Wanaka here and then goes out to the east. We just followed our road here from the old Cromwell precinct down to Bannockburn, and it's really windy right now. Let's really get going.
The cycle journey itself is quite short, but the views over the Kawarau River are spectacular and is well worth the stop heading from Queenstown up to Mount Cook, or even as a side trip to or from Wanaka. Which is exactly what we did.
Yeah, Queenstown sunsets are okay. So I mainly want to film this to show Ellie and Francesco what they're missing out on.
Horse station, I'll be here.
Pow, pow, pow. Let's go. Woohoo. Carving fresh tracks in the snow
Oh yeah. Woohoo! It's like boarding on a cloud. Another great spring snowfall. This time I headed up to the remarkable ski area with my Brazilian friend Marcel to ride some of the excellent soft snow that had just fallen the night before.
When was the last time you did that, mate?
Huh?
When was the last time you had snow like that?
Probably in Europe.
Long time.
Long time. Nice. Cool.
You got this. No, you don't. Don't got this.
It's rock and roll.
Yeah, I hit a rock.
I saw that.
With the heavy snow came the opportunity to board off-piste outside of the ski area boundary, where the new snow was virtually untouched.
You can't? That's no angel. That's some nice powder though. Good?
So good.
Some really cool funky costumes out there. So many cool costumes.
For once, I feel underdressed.
Look at me, I was like, oh shit.
Marcel's got his flashy blacks on, the blacks and greys. That's crazy. I love all these. Perfect day, man, right?
Beautiful day, man. Beautiful snow.
Look at that. That's awesome. Look at the traffic.
Marcel and I headed out to Wanaka for the closing day festivities at the Treble ski area.
Hey, happy first closing day.
Treble ski area is 35 minutes from Wanaka and is the largest ski area in New Zealand's South Island.
Have you got a message for Miranda?
Yes, you're missing. Sorry.
360. Not a bad view right there. Let's go get some
Phil. Where's Dennis? Come in.
What was the jester one?
Feel underdressed. My space suit. The day was spectacular, with perfect weather and some of the funkiest costumes I'd ever seen at a ski field, including some with no costumes at all. I'm here in a place called Arrowtown, which is about half an hour outside of Queenstown. It's a bit of a historical town. It goes back to 1862 when a man named Murray Jack Tiwa discovered gold on what is now known as the Kawarau River. It led to a subsequent gold rush. The first people to come out here were led by a man named William Fox, who was an Irish immigrant, and the town was called Foxes for quite a while. We had 5,000 immigrants come out here to the central Otago region during the gold rush, and a lot of those immigrants were actually from Chinese descent. Now, I'm about to walk through the Chinese village, and because of sort of the prejudice of the time, the Chinese were sort of segregated from the European people, so they were sort of pushed out into their own little camps, and they lived in some quite rough conditions. A lot of the Chinese prejudice at the time was due to the fact that the Chinese would work for quite cheap in these areas, and that was because during the time southern China was going through a famine, and the male workers would come out here and work for their families and send money back home so their families wouldn't starve. But because of that, they were working so cheap that a lot of the local or Western immigrants weren't really getting as much work as they would hope for, and rather than taking up their grievances with the mining companies that were employing the cheaper Chinese labor, they would take a lot of their grievances out on the Chinese. So the western part of town, which we'll see very shortly, it was kind of segregated from the Chinese people. They weren't allowed to actually go up in there. And we can have a look at and see how this looked in the late 1800s as well. Some of these old photographs here from the University of Otago. I'll show you our loom store in just a moment. These are some storage sheds right up here. And of course the old house. You can see some of the original foundations behind me right here as well, and these were actually made of the river stones from the nearby Kawarau River. Now, a lot of these huts here are actually based on the reconstructions from some of these old photographs that we had looked at before, and they were uncovered in the 1980s, and the excavation work sort of took place from there. But a lot of them are still keeping the original river stones on the bases of the buildings right there. Arrowtown is a very, very famous place to visit because of its beauty, and most of that beauty usually comes around the autumn time. It's very famous to visit here during the autumn because of the autumn colours. And a lot of the trees here were actually originally introduced by the European and the North American gold miners and settlers in the area during that time, as New Zealand itself doesn't have many deciduous trees that lose their leaves during the winter time. So in the autumn we have all these beautiful sort of willow trees and a lot of different trees like larch trees as well, and birch trees that will change color, and you have reds and golds and yellows, oranges, and I have heard that this is one of the top 10 places in the world to see the autumn colors. Now, equally as beautiful in my opinion is the springtime, and Arrowtown hosts itself a number of spring festivals as well. Today we're going to go up into the main part of town, which is the old sort of western style or western side of town. It does kind of look like a wild western film set. And they're having actually a flower festival, so we'll have a look a little bit at that as well. So up here we have a cottage that belonged to a man named Alum,
who was kind of like the mayor of the Chinatown. He was by far the wealthiest of Chinatown and operated the general store out of this cottage up here. He was actually the last surviving person living in the Arrowtown Chinese town and stayed here until 1927. So behind me here is the old Mount Soho Covenant, which used to form part of the original police camp, which was established here in 1863, making this building here the oldest surviving building in Arrowtown. This is kind of like the westerner or the established part of town. It looks like an old Wild Western film.
There is nothing funnier than seeing a really big person in a tiny car.
So it looks like winter finally came in the middle of spring. Gabrielle in the snow. Have a good time.
The heaviest snowfall of the year came at the end of September, right in the middle of spring here in the southern hemisphere.
This is our driveway. And this is a very, very special person. I think I'm gonna leave it here. She's very strange.
All right, here we are in the snow. Rhonda has created a perfect piece of art down there, the snow angel. And now we're heading up to the gondola in the forest.
You are a snow angel. Oh, chicken done, not nice. Chicky's making an avalanche. It's making a snowman. I already made my part. I love child, Chicky. Finished product right there. There's a tui in there. Oh, he's flying away. All right, Chicky, let's go into the snowy forest. Creepy dark forest. Up there. It's pretty cool.
The excitement of these unique conditions brought out the inner child in both of us. It also made great footage to compile as a video clip to a song I had just finished recording.
there, Chicky. There you go. Look at that. That's an adventurer. That's an adventure if I ever saw one. All right, let's keep going.
What do you think, honey? Pretty cool? Pretty cool? Been riding the bike up here. Snowboard through here.
If you enjoyed this collection of small videos, please remember to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. We have a 2-month New Zealand campervan road trip coming up with some exciting adventures planned, so click the little bell button to be notified when these videos are released.
It's the most snow I've ever seen up there.